Alrighty, boob tubes. Another one of Gabe's Creeps. So, not only is it an election year, Netherlands has been and gone. Wilders is their Prime Minister, I think that's his title. France has got one coming up in, I think it's June or July. Le Pen looks like he'd be marching into there, become the French president. The UK looks like Keir Starmer will be getting in. There's nobody else to choose from. If the bookies have got it on the button, well, Sir Keir Starmer is walking in. But Russia has an election. Now, my knowledge of the inner political structure within Russia isn't that great, but I do know there's a president and prime minister, and between the 25 years that Putin's kind of been in charge, he's shifted between. He was the president and he became prime minister, and then he went back to becoming president again. So, when is an election not an election?
And Diana, we're in a year of an election to be held in Russia. What of the opposition movement? What remains of it? What's the momentum?
This election is not an election. I mean...
Oh, it's not an election. What about the British election? It's not an election because the guy who done the Jimmy Savile report, Sir Keir Starmer, I mean, who gave him the Sir? Would that be Jimmy Savile's best pal, Prince Charles?
I don't know why we even use the word. This is not a democracy. What Vladimir Putin is going to do on March the 17th is not an election. There is no one to compete with him.
Well, there's nobody to compete with them. But why is it not an election?
The opposition is, there is none. There's no...
The opposition is, there is none. So you're talking about the opposition, then you say there is none. Can you make your mind up?
Nobody who's allowed to run against him in any meaningful way.
Nobody's allowed to run against him in any meaningful way. I love the way they play with words here. So there are people running against him then, right?
Yes, there's the Communist Party. There's a few token parties.
Right.
There is none. There's nobody who's allowed to run against him in any meaningful way. Yes, there's the Communist Party. There's a few token parties who are approved by United Russia. Vladimir Putin is going to win this election. That is already taken as read. Yesterday in the Federation Council.
I thought it wasn't an election. I thought there was no opposition, and then you go on to name the opposition. This woman is schizophrenic.
So he gave his grand speech setting out the format for the next 6 years. There just isn't any opposition worth speaking of because they have all been jailed. Alexei Navalny, jailed, gone. Ilya Yashin, jailed. Vladimir Karamurza is in jail. These are all people who really fought for...
Western-backed motherfuckers trying to get the West influence inside Russia, and they've been jailed. I mean, I love the way the news no longer has the narrative. They no longer control the narrative. To a certain extent they do for some people, but in general, generally for people who soak in information from lots of different sources, you can kind of see through this shit, you know? It's like, we're good, they're bad, and then let's just paint that picture.
Values that we in the UK take for granted, democratic values, they have been jailed.
God, on democratic values that we take sacred here in the UK, what happened in the Parliament the other week there? That wasn't a democracy there, that was an outside fucking source putting pressure on the fucking bottom paid for idiots they've got inside Parliament to fucking usurp our Parliament and fuck up the will of the people. Democracy, yo! Ours good, theirs bad. And remember, President, head of state, Prime Minister, head of the government. Over here, our head of state, Prince Charles. Can we have a vote? Well, there is no meaningful vote. There is no opposition. I mean, what you need to do is fucking be part of the bloodline.
People have been jailed for writing tweets. Old women have been jailed for things that they had on social media. It is difficult to oppose the regime in this country, which is why the only way that people can really mark or register their opposition is by coming out to a funeral with flowers. That really is a sort of indicator of how little room for expression there is in this country. But it was also the case in Soviet times. I mean, I read a very interesting article today about exactly that, that during the whole of the Soviet Union too, funerals were a moment to express your discontent when there was no other avenue. And that's what we're seeing again now.
Diana, for now, in Moscow, thank you.
Oh my lordy lord, man.
George Galloway is set to return to Parliament as an MP after his...
Oh, fucking hell, Hen, what have you done to your face, man? That's such a crying shame. But when's an election not an election? There is no opposition, but this is the opposition. And remember, there's no freedom of expression in Russia. And all these people that have been jailed, they've just been jailed because they're bad folks, man. Not because they're Western fucking gimps. I'm going to go and get my fucking Barnet sorted out today. Long overdue. But there we have it. When's an election? Not an election. When it's in Russia. Get it. Got it. Good. And Sir Keir Starmer's walking into this election. There is no opposition. We have no opposition in this country. It's Sir Keir Starmer and Labour. Woohoo! All the way, baby. Get it. Got it. Good. Cat cheese. No cats or cheese. Or poodlers were harmed in this filming.
Cips, clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.